Hey, Ultimate Wellness Tribe. Today I am joined by Scott Minniear, CEO of NeuX Technologies, a pioneer in wellness, performance, and recovery innovation. Scott is the driving force behind the company's bold vision. NeuX isn't just building tools, it's setting a new standard for lifelong vitality. NeuX Technologies is transforming wellness and performance with cutting-edge platform that addresses the root cause of pain, stress, and sleep issues. At its core is the NXPro system with Interactive Neuromuscular Stimulation, iNMS, a unique dual current technology that activates both motor and sensory pathway, enhancing physical function, mental clarity, and emotional resilience for peak performance and recovery. I'm so proud to have this cutting-edge technology as a sponsor and Scott himself as a speaker at our upcoming Ultimate Wellness Conference at Faena Forum in Miami Beach on September 26th through 28th. It's going to be 3-day longevity conference with amazing curated selection of the most advanced biohacking and longevity technologies. And we are happy that NeuX joined us. So you will have opportunity to explore this technology at our amazing expo. Thank you, Scott. Thank you for joining us at the Ultimate Wellness Conference, and thank you for your time today. I prepared a few questions.
Thank you for the introduction, and I'm glad to be here. Thank you.
For those who are hearing about NeuX first time, what is the core mission behind the technology, and what problem are you ultimately solving? Is it for only recovery, or it's not only for recovery, for optimization, probably for peak performance, for stress management? Please explain what is NeuX, what it does.
Well, thank you, Julia. Yes, NeuX, we have a very unique technology with our interactive neuromuscular stimulation. It is a type of electrical stimulation, but it's unique in that we are combining two different waveforms. Electrical stimulation devices are either direct current or alternating current, and we've blended the two together to where it has a whole body effect. You know, when we think about what bothers our body, we may think about joint pain, or we may think about poor sleep or stress levels. And so we think about what's bothering us at the moment, but in order to fix that, you have to look at the whole body. And with our technology, we're able to stimulate not only the physical part of the body and find and locate and fix what might be bothering us physically, but the nervous system and the brain have to be brought into that equation as well. And so our technology addresses all three of those and really works on the whole body to bring the whole body together in an optimal fashion.
I can say how I understand this, that there is always a constant communication between our brain and body through this somatic system, right? Through vagus nerve, and it sends information from the brain to the body, but also it sends information from body to the brain, and only 20% goes from the brain to the body and 80% goes from the body to brain. So when our body relaxed, when the tension in our muscles released, then our body sends this information that it's time to relax, it's time to balance, it's time to switch from sympathetic to parasympathetic nervous system, and this is how we actually manage this stress. Do I understand correctly?
Yes, you described that perfectly, and you touch on a very important point. We look at the body again, we complain them and feel all these things physically. But the first thing we look at is what's happening with the nervous system. And as you mentioned, a lot of people are stuck in more of a sympathetic state, that fight or flight. And that could be from an injury, it could be from an accident, a traumatic event. But we're stuck in this sympathetic fight or flight state. And we've actually done brain mapping that shows that somebody is in this fight or flight state. They don't sleep very well. They're stressed out. They've got some pain, and the three of those are kind of this vicious cycle that basically just one feeds off the other, and it's kind of a downward spiral. And so we've done brain mapping of people that are presenting with these symptoms, and you can see the beta brain waves are overactivated. And we perform what we call a neural reboot with our NXPro device and the interactive neuromuscular stimulation. And we stimulate at the back of the neck and all the way down to the feet. So we're running our current through the entire body at a very low power level. But what happens, the brain mapping has shown, is that in 30 minutes, 30 minutes of just applying this technology, we can take someone who is stuck in fight or flight. Beta brain waves are very overactivated. We can dramatically reduce their beta brain waves and increase their alpha brain waves. So we're able to move them from this sympathetic fight or flight state into more of a parasympathetic rest and digestive state.
Yeah, I genuinely believe that all kinds of imbalances in our body, and then as a next step, disease, they are caused by some stress. It can be stress inside our body, which I call hidden stress, within our hormonal, immune, digestion, detoxification, energy production, oxidative stress. All these systems, they are interconnected, but also I think we always should consider mental, emotional, spiritual stress, and functional stress, which is tension in our muscles, in our body, and all tissues. So basically, NeuX stands apart from only tools for quick fix and makes this approach like more holistic, I should say. And I want to know exactly with this interactive neuromuscular stimulation, NMS. What is the exact difference from some other muscular stimulation tools and devices? Because as far as I understand, here is something unique here. Yeah?
Yes, great question. We're often asked, why are we different than a TENS device? And so you can buy a TENS device, the kiosk at the mall for $50. And a TENS device is simply blocking the pain signal from wherever we feel the pain in our body, let's say the knee, reaching the brain. So it's designed for temporary pain relief. It's designed for somebody who may be coming out of surgery and they're going to heal in a couple of weeks, but they're going to be in pain. So they need a TENS device to get them through those 2 weeks. The crazy thing is that there's $500 million worth of TENS devices sold every year. That's people using it beyond what I just described in terms of post-surgery. That's people that are in chronic pain, that are using this day over day, month over month, year over year. It's not doing anything curative. It's not fixing the problem. It's just temporary pain relief. So that's a TENS device over in one bucket. The other type of electrical stimulation is what is referred to as E-stim, and E-stim causes the contraction. So anybody that's been to the chiropractor or they've been through physical therapy, they probably have had, or an athlete has gone through this, where they'll be sitting in a chair or laying on a table, and they'll put the electrodes around the joint and they'll turn it up, and you'll see the muscles contracting, and they'll sit there for 20 minutes, and then they'll be done. You typically don't feel any different. I've been through it many, many times, and you don't feel anything different afterwards. The problem with that is when there's any type of dysfunction from either blunt force or overuse or repetitive motion, something that's caused the dysfunction in the body, and all of a sudden we have joint pain, the muscles around the joint have already gone into a tightened state, maybe even spastic. And so they're already tight. If you're putting a stimulus in that's causing a concentric contraction, now you're trying to make them even tighter. And that's not good for those muscles. What's even worse is once we have some dysfunction in the body, there's already a disruption in the neural pathways, a messaging going from the brain through the nervous system to those muscles. Now, if I'm putting an outside stimulus into those muscles, causing an involuntary contraction, I'm only adding to that disruption, because now I'm doing something to those muscles that the brain has nothing to do with. It's just watching, we're just watching those muscles contract. Our technology doesn't cause the contraction. What we're able to do is we can search on the body find where the source of the problem is, where the true dysfunction is, and then we put a stimulus in that basically just adds to the signal coming from the brain. So if those muscles are in a spasm, the brain is sending a message to those muscles to relax and release. It's just their inhibition, and the brain signal is not strong enough. So our signal actually enhances the brain signal and gets these muscles to relax and release and start to contract more effectively. So that's the big difference between us and eStim and TENS devices.
You mentioned that you find where is exactly a problem in the body. So you do some kind of scan. How you find this problem?
So another great question. Quite often, the source of the problem is distant from where we feel the pain.
Exactly. I know, like as a user, as a just the person who performs at gym, who has daughter at ballet, I know that sometimes we can have problem in our hips and then we can feel some pain in our even ankle, right? So it all interconnected. And why it's so interesting for me, how do you identify where is that exact problem? Chiropractors, they identify that with their hands. So they basically understand the physiology and they just look at all tensions. And many times when I visited chiropractors, massage therapists, they explained to me many times that, for example, tension in my neck or hairs in shoulders because of seated lifestyle. We all sit a lot in front of our computer. Then we can even have problem in hips, legs, and next level. So with this your technology, NeuX, how do you find the exact point of the problem, the exact source?
Yeah, you did a great job of explaining different scenarios and how the body's interconnected, but where the source is different from where we feel the pain. And knee pain is a great example. If somebody, is presenting with knee pain, with our technology, we will actually look from the hips all the way to the feet. So we search, and what we do is, again, we're putting an electrical stimulus into the body. And so we have a mapping applicator here that is connected to the device. And if somebody, and let's say I've got elbow pain, since you can't see my legs, we would actually take this and move it across the body. And what it's doing is there's a grounded electrode that we put in the lower part of the back. So the current's flowing from right here, up my arm, down my back to the other electrode. As long as it can travel through healthy tissue, you feel a consistent tingling sensation. As soon as it gets over an area where there's dysfunction, the tissue's tight, inflammation, it slows the signal down. There's an impedance or resistance to the stimulus, and the person feels a greater intensity. So as I'm moving this, the person will say on a scale of 1 to 10, oh, I feel a 2, I feel a 1, I feel a 2, I feel an 8. That's one of the reasons we call this interactive neuromuscular stimulation. We live in a world where the clinicians always telling us what's wrong with us, and we say, okay, I guess so. You're the expert. Here's a situation where the clinician may be finding something on me, but I'm telling them, hey, there's something going on right here. This is really, really intense. And if you look at this spot, it's quite a ways away from my elbow. And the exciting thing about this, you had mentioned about people who are trained to find trigger points, and they can go through the manual search with their hands and find areas of tension. Well, if they find a trigger point, the definition of that is if I press on that, it would be pain where I'm pressing or referred pain somewhere else. Well, with our technology, quite often we'll find a spot that somebody will tell us, wow, that's really intense right there. We'll move the applicator, press on that spot, and the person doesn't feel anything anywhere. So we're finding something new that, we don't know if it's a different type of trigger point or maybe it's in the early stages. What we know is it's either contributing to my elbow pain today, or it's going to raise its ugly head some point down the road as it continues to build and build until all of a sudden it's creating a problem somewhere else. So professional athletes use this, we call it neuromuscular mapping. They use it on a regular basis because, whether they're throwing a pitch or swinging a golf club, a lot of torque, a lot of repetitive motion. So they constantly map their bodies to find these areas that very early stage of a problem.
We know this, and you just mentioned brain map, and this is all body map
Yes.
on school. Yeah, interesting. And you said that this iNMS supports not only physical performance, but stress, resilience, sleep, yeah, adaptation to stress. And you mentioned that many athletes use this technology. But if we think about this holistic approach, it's probably technology and device for everyone, right?
Yes. And I think the example of a professional athlete, if it works for them under the conditions they're operating in, then for the rest of us that aren't necessarily having to perform at that level, certainly can work for us. And I think a perfect example is Ryan Murphy, who five-time gold medalist swimmer. Ryan called me after the Olympic trials last year, and at the time he's 29 years old. He's swimming against a bunch of young pups, so he's already kind of stressed out, because he's at the older part of his age competing. And he called me and he said, Scott, you can imagine how stressful, we're all stressed. We're all anxious. We don't sleep very well during the trials and during the Olympics. He said, I did a neuro reboot each night before I went to bed, and I slept rock solid. I woke up, I was laser focused and had a ton of energy. He won the 100-meter and 200-meter backstroke at the Olympic trials. So it just goes to show how just 30 minutes before he went to bed each night, he was able to not only sleep better, but to be better focused and have more energy the next day.
So the session is 30 minutes, right?
Yes.
And usually, what do you see? How many sessions usually patient needs for recovery if it's not some injury, if it's just for optimization and improved physical performance and stress management? How many sessions? And is it recommended to do it every day? As you said, it's good to do it before night so you can sleep better, and then obviously you will be more concentrated and more energized next day. But how often do you suggest to use your device?
Yeah, so it really does depend on the situation. For somebody that's going into physical therapy, the physical therapist will typically do a neuro reboot very first session. Because if I'm coming in for physical rehab, the defensive wall's up. I'm stuck in that fight or flight state. And it's very difficult for the physical therapist to have, be able to work their magic, and I'm not enjoying it. So they'll do the neuro reboot in the first session. All of a sudden, that defensive wall comes down, and it typically will last through all the sessions that they have to do for physical therapy, unless they're treating something like neuropathy. Then they may do a neuro reboot at the beginning, and then maybe the sixth session they'll do another neuro reboot just to keep the nervous system settled down. We have people that just are very successful.
So this reboot, you call it reboot, is like restarting computer. It's just
exactly.
Yeah.
Think about your computer that has just had a lot of stuff that's been piling up, and all of a sudden it slows down and it's not working as well. You reboot it, all of a sudden everything's working great again. But I was going to mention somebody who's super successful that this will be a lot of people that come to the conference that they're laying awake at 3 o'clock in the morning and they can't turn their brain off. They're thinking about this deal. They're thinking of this project. They've got all these things they're doing,
I know.
and this won't turn off. They do a neuro reboot before they go to bed, and all of a sudden they're sleeping through the night, and dreaming much deeper, and waking up feeling refreshed as opposed to, gosh, I just can't turn my brain off, and you're exhausted.
Yeah, but also there are some great tools like breathing meditation for turning off our brain, let's say, or just calming down our brain, not probably turning off, but optimizing and calming. Interesting how it's different from breathing, from meditation. What is the main difference in this modality? How it's different from breathwork and meditation?
Yeah, another great question. We're another tool in the toolbox. So, I'm not sitting here saying that we can fix everything and everybody has to use our product. Breathing is huge. We promote when you start doing your reboot, do some breathing. Whenever using our device, we promote breathing, breathing, breathing. We just think people should have a much better breathing technique than we typically do. And so for some people, if you don't have stress and it's easy to get into a kind of a meditative state, then do what works for you. But if you're find that it's difficult to get to where you want to be and how you want to feel, then try our technology and see if it doesn't help you get there. Yeah, if you look at what our nervous system is, it's basically a highway of information for the brain to our muscles and so forth. And so that highway can end up with bumps and potholes in it as things get disrupted through our body. And we believe that our technology, that stimulus flowing through, has a way of improving the communication highway. And I can't tell you whether or not we're creating new neural pathways or just, re-energizing old neural pathways, but we're just seeing people that over time, I'll give you a perfect example. There's a lot of high school athletes that had ACL surgery. Surgery went great, rehab went great. All of a sudden, they're a junior in college and they can't run because of pain in the knee. That pain in the knee has nothing to do with the knee. Something up here all of a sudden triggered and thought, oh, wait a minute, I've got to go back into defensive mode for this knee. Nothing's wrong with the knee. This just never healed from the injury from 3 or 4 years ago. And what we're finding with our technology is that, especially with this neural reboot and getting the communication highway cleaned up, that it allows this to just let go and not all of a sudden, years down the road, thinking it has to be defensive for an injury that healed fine, but this just never healed. So we're seeing that with our technology in terms of that whole communication system.
Yeah, this is a great example. Now I understand. This is a really great explanation. Thank you for this explanation. And
thank you.
That's why we can state that NeuX helps heal from chronic pain. And I want to ask you regarding how it is affordable. So it's a little bit on higher side price. And who are your clients usually? Are they professionals? They are doctors or biohackers as well? Interesting. Who uses your device usually?
Yeah, so we have a broad spectrum of people using the device, and from a price perspective, we're not, if you're comparing it to a different type of electrical stimulation, it's going to be more expensive. If you compare it to other things, PMMF can be, $30,000-$50,000. Lasers can be up to $70,000. I don't know if you've seen the new Immortal chair, but it's $150,000.
Oh yeah, I have seen a lot.
So we think we're in there at a pretty good price range on the lower side of things. But in terms of who buys our device, it's really broken down into 3 categories. It's the clinical side with wellness, longevity, physical therapy. It's actually personal trainers, which when you talk about the price, personal trainers typically don't buy anything because they walk into a gym and everything is already there. But what they found with our technology, we've been talking about, the neurological aspect of it and the physical pain aspect of it. Simply by flipping a switch on the device, you can either get muscles to relax and lengthen, or you can put a load on the muscles to help strengthen them. So they'll work with their clients in the gym, and they'll have one setting where maybe they're doing bench press and they want their chest muscles to stretch to lengthen out before they lift. So they'll do a few reps at one frequency setting. It opens up their chest, and then they'll flip the switch and it puts a load on. So now if I'm benching 125, all of a sudden I'm benching 150, but I still have perfect form and I'm not actually lifting an extra 25 pounds.
Which is good for joints. So this is another...
Great for joints, less wear and tear on the body. But then at the end, they flip the sweating back. So I'm doing a few reps at the end, and my chest opens back up. So I walk out of the gym, I'm in there for less time. I have a greater production because I'm actually working with more weight than I'm actually lifting. It's less wear and tear on the body, and I'm walking out of the gym and I'm feeling loose. Nobody feels loose after walking out of the gym. Your muscles are all tight because you're working them. Now you can walk out. So personal trainers actually are charging more for using our device than they would if you don't use our device. So personal trainers are usually paying off the device in 3 to 4 months. So they're a third, and then the other third are individuals that just look at this as either an investment because they've got some sort of neurological condition like MS, or they're getting older, they've got hair my color, and they want some sort of cheat code that helps them stay in shape and feel better. So that's kind of the three areas where we're, and then we have professional sports. Both pitchers on each side of the World Series, used our device. We've got it in a lot of universities, athletic trainers, and so forth. But that's a smaller portion.
Yeah, but your device can be used at home, and it's pretty portable, not so big, and for everyone who wants to use it at home without professional supervision, without supervision of personal trainer or doctor, they can use it at home. So it's not like only for professionals. Everyone can use it.
Yeah, it's sold over the counter. Doesn't need a prescription to use it.
Yeah, I see. It's perfect. And I'm sure that this technology will be of interest for many our guests at the upcoming Ultimate Wellness Conference at Faena Forum in Miami Beach on September 26th through 28th. During 3 days, our guests, they can explore over 30 selected technologies, such as NeuX and many other technologies. Please join us, and you will have opportunity to ask your questions to Scott personally, because Scott is joining us and he's going to speak on a panel about health optimization and performance optimization. As you can see, Scott is a great expert with their extensive background in this performance optimization. And obviously, if you have any questions, you can come and ask Scott in person. There is some, I believe, discount with NeuX promo code if you apply it at the checkout at our website, ultimatewellness.miami/forum, or find link in the description. And I know that now you run special promotion for Memorial Day, and for those who are interested in purchasing this device now at a good price with some promotion. I saw some good promotion.
Yes.
Yeah, I saw advertisements. So I'm going to post this information ASAP. I think it will be live tomorrow, and it's exactly for these several days. So this is a great opportunity for you, our followers, purchase this device and use it at home and optimize your physical performance, mental performance, recovery, and sleep, and actually just help you to holistically approach all your body and nervous system, and of course improve your vitality yeah, and longevity.
Thank you. Yes, fantastic. Honored to be part of the conference, and certainly honored to, be part of the interview here today.
Thank you so much. We look forward to have you with us in person at the conference.